let's do some caster math, shall we? We started with 80 players over the 3 days that we are here in WCS Montreal. Today, 16 players entered. We are down to now 8, 7 of which are currently residing in the top 8 here of the WCS Circuit standings, one of which has the potential to disrupt a lot of things here as we continue on. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the desk, as we have one happy desk with 3 happy people. I'm joined by...
Don't keep us guessing. Who's the ace?
Who, what? Wait, what?
You just say that one person can disrupt all that and is not currently in the top.
I was about to get onto that.
Ruined.
Just, it was nice.
Restart it.
No. Definitely not. Absolutely not. It's gonna be Scarlett going up against Neeb. That's the 8th person that Todd was looking for here in Scarlett, who has an opportunity to really disrupt things, but she goes up against a 2-time WCS champion here in 2017. Joined by Zombie Grub and Todd. Neeb versus Scarlett is quite the fixture.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool matchup. I mean, they're really good friends. They lived in the Bay Street TV house in Korea this entire year, or most of the year anyways. Neeb getting there, I think, a couple months ago, but
yeah.
They were friends before that, very close in personalities, really. And of course, now with Scarlett playing a little bit of Protoss, I guess they've been talking a lot of strategy as well. And then in the matchup, ZVP, Scarlett versus Neeb, it's been very back and forth too.
Of course, Todd, it's a matchup that, as much as, you know, Scarlett is looking for the dream run in this tournament, most things come to a halt when you go up against Neeb here in WCS.
Usually they have a storied rivalry, though. It's 13 and 11 in series for Scarlett, but 45 and 44 in maps for Neeb.
Right.
So overall, it's won more maps, lost a few more series. As of late, though, if you look at the shape that they've been in, Neeb lost 0 maps in Challenger, 14 and 0. And so far, he's only lost 1 map here in this tournament. So he's looked pretty darn good. And on paper, Neeb should be the big favorite. But Scarlett, she's got the crowd behind her making a lot of noise. And she's been making a lot of noise herself in her games as well.
All right, Mal is ready on the stage in our round of 8. The biggest fixture so far here for WCS Montreal, James.
That's right. It is time for quarterfinals. It doesn't look like it by the name comparison. It looks like it's the finals. All right. Canadian Circuit. WCS, the last pennant, and we have only 1 Canadian player left, and she joins us in this next series against Neeb. All right, let's go for some cheers. All right, America, where are you at? All right, that's good, but definitely we can top this a lot better. Canada, let's go! Will the #1 seed to BlizzCon continue his success in WCS and move on through, or will the Queen of Blades get her vengeance in front of our home crowd? Ladies and gents, scream for Neeb and Scarlett!
That's right, Mal. As friends take to the stage, they become enemies here, trying to advance on from the round of 8 into the round of 4. Scarlett looking for a potential dream run through this tournament. But again, as I mentioned to Todd, Zombie Grub, it's no easy feat against someone like Neeb.
No, it's not. And I was talking to Neeb a little bit while he was just calm and getting ready for this. He says he's pretty confident. And then he also brought up last year in Montreal, how he was her stopping point for there too. So everyone was on the train, the hype train for Scarlett, and it was like, face Neeb.
Very, very difficult thing to go up against, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely, especially because, you know, Scarlett's been vocal about the trouble that she's had in the matchup of ZVP, assuming it's going to be a ZVP right there, and it should be. The Master Oracles, that's really like a bit of a mystery that players have had a hard time countering. We saw Cyril do well against Mana earlier, but maybe it wasn't necessarily the same caliber of player as of right now in terms of shape. You know, like Cyril's supposed to be way better. So I'm curious as to how is Scarlett going to try to counter these things. She's been known as of late to throw in a couple cheeses here and there, against which Neeb has struggled before, but I feel now he's reached a level where most of these, you know, like proxy hatcheries or like link bust with queen drops or whatever are going to be super holdable for him as long as he sees it coming. So for Scarlett, it's going to be hard to pick builds and then to make them work as well. But she can do it. I really believe that she can.
Where do you think her strengths are against someone like Neeb?
That she can expect exactly what he's going to do, right? He's going to be a lot of the time the oracles into charge lots and all that. Like, in a way, he's predictable, but he's just so good at it that maybe it doesn't even matter, right, what he does.
Zombie Grub?
That's true. I was going to say that, like, Scarlett, she's definitely more unpredictable, but it is kind of like a mental game for Svenska. They know each other so well that he knows that she's going to be wonky, and he's done a very good job in the last year fixing the play against the wonky plays and the cheeses that I'm not really sure. I think her mental game is a little still on top of his sometimes, but he has you know, the star power and just doesn't seem to really worry about this match.
It's a good point that you bring up in terms of, you know, what Scarlett can bring to the table, which is so much aggression when she kind of gets going with these kinds of builds. So how do you anticipate all the potential kind of aggressive builds that are coming out from a Zerg?
You go the extra mile with the scouting, which Neeb is great at. Not just with the initial scouting with the probe, which like a lot of protosters will skip, but Neeb almost never. But even past that, with your oracle, your observers, make sure you're always in the right spot and spotting what tech is coming out next from the opponent. If Neeb can do that just right, sees everything that's being thrown at him, it's going to be very hard for Scarlett to catch him off guard with anything. And then if you go into a straight-up game, the big question is, what kind of composition does Scarlett rely on? Do we see Spores and Lurkers doing some, you know, some kind of siege? Or does she go into like a slower game, or maybe even a more aggressive game, which for the most part hasn't worked out for Zergs all that well when they've played against Mass Oracles?
So what does a win here mean for Scarlett? Obviously, we know that she has to win the entire tournament to actually go to BlizzCon, if that is the goal. But against Neeb, surely that would put her on the right track for doing so.
Yeah, that would actually be a huge momentum boost. I mean, she came back from being down in her last series. If she was able to win against Neeb here, she'd get past that mental block in Montreal, get to the semifinals, being another ZBZ, I believe. She's facing the winner of True or Nurtio, and I think she's going to do well there. And then maybe it's the finals, maybe it's the win.
Maybe, maybe. I would ask you for predictions, so now that we're in the round of 8. My question in terms of predictions is there any bets against Neeb here? What are you guys thinking?
I think so. I really think that this crowd is making Scarlett play better, and I feel like a 3-2 for Scarlett is definitely coming here.
Well done, Todd. Well done. Zombie Grub?
I agree, actually.
Don't do it. Oh, okay.
No, I agree. No, Neeb's going to take it 3-0. No, I agree. I think the star part, like the crowd rather, has been really crucial to the comeback last series, and it's going to be again here. So of course, guys, cheer for her.
Yeah. We're just waiting a few moments here whilst I believe Neeb has taken a small break before we get this series going, because it gets really serious now when we're going into these round of 8 matches and the like. Todd, any kind of final thoughts before we kind of get into this series?
No, like I wonder actually, like, because on paper it should be like Mass Oracles against whatever Scarlett's trying to do and counter it, but I wonder if how many, you know, funky games we're gonna see, how many proxy builds and overly aggressive ones we're gonna see here. That's gonna be the big question. And for these players to decide here at this stage, when everything's on the line with the global finals potentially for Scarlett, it's going to be very hard. So I wonder if she's already even like decided on every map exactly what she was going to do. You know, we saw the map vetoes. There was no real surprises there, but it's going to be very important to make the right choices at the right time in terms of those build orders.
I mean, some of those aggressive build orders, like the proxy hatcheries, like the Nidus worms, and things that Scarlett can bring to the table, Zombie Grub. How, as a Protoss, do you kind of critically analyze those and then just be able to deal with them? Because Neeb is a very kind of cool and calm and collected player, but they still throw you for a loop a little bit.
As a Protoss. Yeah. No, I think that, like, as I said, like, he's worked really hard, I think, on his mental game the last year. Last year, especially early last year, it was like he doesn't go to Mothership Core, cheese him, and he would just, you know, juggle the balls and fall and die. So I think he's done a really nice job just keeping that mental fortitude. Like, he just takes a deep breath, he'll come back and not worry about it. So whenever he would go down a game or two, last year, it was like, well, that might be a 3-0. This year, not so much. I think it's just preparation.
It's an observation that you've made, or if you talk to him and he says something that's made you realize that?
Over the last year, but it's like, how he's come back from that. I think he's talked to me about it.
Okay.
Not today. No, that's not what he talked about today. But just like generally, he's like, yeah, I think I've just gotten better with my nerves.
What did he talk about today?
He talked about today how he just, I asked him, like, what are you feeling against Scarlett? And he was like, I'm pretty confident. And then he said, I'm actually really not worried about the semis. Like, he thinks he's going to get to the semis, and he's like, not worried at all. I think I'll do better against True or Nurtio.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, but Scarlett. And he was like, I'm pretty confident. Exactly like that.
He's pretty confident against Scarlett and not worried about the semis. He gets like more confident with every round passing by.
He did mention that he's in a bit of a slump, he said, so he was like, I'm confident, but like, you know, the Scarlett's going to take me
He usually says that before winning the tournament.
And I was like,
dropping 2 maps.
Yeah.
When he says that, then he wins, though. And I told him that, he just laughed.
Well, let's see if that is going to be accomplished here as we now head into our round of 8 match here, as Scarlett goes up against Neeb to find out who moves on to the round of 4.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's right, it's time to start perhaps the marquee match of the day, Roddy. It's going to be Scarlett going up against Neeb, two of the most well-known, well-loved by these crowds all across North America, and especially this young woman here in Canada. So many people cheering for Scarlett, so many people excited to see her make the dream run against this man who's qualified twice, basically, for BlizzCon this year. We are ready to start off in the bottom left of Mech Depot. The blue Protoss player, give a cheer for Ting's Neeb.
And over here on the right top side of Mech Depot, we're looking at the main base of our Canadian Zerg. Give it up for Scarlett.
Guys ready to tear the roof down over this match, Kev. We've seen some interesting PvZ games that have popped up from here and there today on the streams. A lot of oracles being built by players. If your name is Haas, a lot of everything very weird.
No, we've seen plenty of those, and there's a good chance we'll see a few more of them in this best of 5. It's going to be a fun one. I mean, I think Zombie Grub and Todd did a pretty good job breaking it down. These two obviously have a lot of history together as well. If you take a look at their records against each other, it's like 45 against 44 in maps. It's like 8 and 8 in series, or it's incredibly close between the two, or 13 and 11, excuse me, in series. But map-wise, it's pretty much that even. There are some moments where Scarlett really seems to have the upper hand against Neeb. He's able to win a couple times in a row, but then Neeb makes a couple of adjustments to his play, and then suddenly he figures it all out again. I find it amazing that Neeb apparently said he feels like he's in a slump, because the last thing we saw of him was Challenger, and he went 14 and 0 in Challenger.
Guys,
so
I'm really not that good. I'm really overrated. BRB
like,
winning Kespa Cup. Guys, I'm just, I don't know why people cheer for me this much.
Even in, I think, GSL vs. the World, he played incredibly well, made it to the quarterfinals, had an amazing series against TY. It was just, it all looked really good. Just because he didn't end up winning one of the most stacked tournaments of the year doesn't mean that he's doing poorly. So I think this is going to be very hard for Scarlett. But obviously, she does have, that wildcard thing going for herself, as in, it's going to be a little bit easier to do crazy stuff with Zerg. As Protoss, it's a little more one-dimensional.
Yeah, just depends how hard he wants to commit down any tech route that he chooses, right? Because it seems like that heavy Oracle play is not just it's not just a meme anymore, right?
No,
it's actually a thing now. A lot of people have been doing it. We've seen it a lot in this tournament. We've seen it a lot in almost every tournament that you watch these days. So he's got a couple of those types of builds as options.
I find it funny to see a relatively quick Mothership core this time, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And
take no chances versus Scarlett.
Yeah, and this is Mech Depot as well. This is obviously a map early today where Scarlett was incredibly aggressive against Harsims. He went for a link drop, brought a couple of queens to the other side of the map as well. And Neeb knows that every overcharge you can get your hands on, you're going to need against builds like that. I don't think he would necessarily always do this on every map, but I think on Mech Depot it's like, all right, there is so much space to be dropped in my main. Let's be rather safe than sorry.
Yep, the Adept's going to check out this third base. Not too much to see there. Throws the shade into the main, goes through Queen. It's like, okay, speed's not done yet. This isn't really anything crazy. And he's going to cancel that and pull back. So Scarlett playing relatively straightforward herself so far at the start of this game as the Overlord makes its way into the main base. And Neeb's just going to take a third. Kev, we know that Neeb can do a lot of big gateway pushes. Is one of the things that he did a lot in Legacy of the Void. We know that he loves his Adepts.
Yeah.
But I feel like on some of these maps, maybe, I don't know if it's Mech Depot, I guess you can enlighten me as to that or not, but I feel like if we get something like Acolyte or something like that, we could get some really slow play. Like, Neeb loves to go to the late game as well, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Mech Depot is a little bit more tricky. It would be very nice for Scarlett to scout this already. I'm not sure if the Lynx actually saw that. Can we get a confirmation real quick?
Nope.
They did not. Obviously, they are supposed to get it, and I'm sure she will still be able to pick up on it soon, and it's not going to change that much, because there's not really much she can do about it, but this is just one of these things. It's very nice to know. It's good to get that confirmation, because, Nate, this was an incredibly quick third base. We often see 4-minute third bases for Protoss, which is already fast, but this was like 3 minutes and 10 seconds off one gateway. Not one gate Stargate or one gate Robo, no. Just one gate, 3 base. That's as fast as Protoss can ever expand.
Neeb's a greedy boy this game. We have the Immortal quickly coming out for him as well at that.
I actually think Aspire would be...
No gas is taken on the natural yet, too.
Yeah, I actually think Aspire would be really good this game. I'm not sure if we are going to see one, but I actually think it would make a lot of sense, because there is no Twilight, there is no Stargate, there is just a Robo. Instead, it is going to be a Hydra then. Hydra is obviously very powerful and strong and effective as well in this matchup. But I actually think if there was ever a good Spire scenario, this would have been it.
Yeah. So the plan here, we do have one other gas being taken right now. Gateways are being added. Probes are going to be saturated onto that third. Does he want to wind up for a big push when he scouts this Hydralisk Den off the fast third base, or do you still take this into the long game from here?
I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because we have no Twilight, we have no Forge. There is an extra simulator being warped in at the moment, but I obviously have the feeling that Neeb wants to get pretty damn aggressive. I'm not sure if this is going to be like some sort of a game-ending push, if it's really a massive commitment. He is getting a Forge, so there is a backup plan. But Nate, it's safe to say that this move out for Neeb does need to do something, because of this opening, he has really delayed the Forge, he has really delayed the Twilight.
All right, we do have a pause. You can see apparently some hotkey stuffs. Won't go too deep into anything in case players somehow magically find the ability to hear us when they're not focused on the game.
We don't know what we're talking about anyway, Nate. It's all
That's
good.
true. That's true. There's no Terrence here. I could just say anything. Be like, yeah, I really love this this Dark Archon rush. You know, steal a drone, go for the hybrid army.
Neeb, of course, our two-time WCS champ already this season. Would like to get another trophy. I get 3 out of 4. Why not? 75%. It's all good.
He was the back-to-back two-time champion at the start of the year, doing extremely well for himself. Comes in as probably one of the favorites in the foreign scene. His performances last year left no stone unturned as he ravaged many a league, getting the big W, of course, at Kespa Cup, the thing that people will talk about until the end of time.
Yeah. But I think his consistency in the foreign scene this year is almost as impressive. Of course, winning a tournament in Korea was fantastic. It was something that we'd almost never seen before. We have to go back to Asian Brood War history to figure out whoever won back then. But the problem
is written on like cave walls and stuff was so long ago.
So even though that was incredibly super impressive, I still find it just as impressive how consistent he's been this year in the foreign scene. Because the foreign scene is pretty damn competitive as well. We've got so many strong Zergs in the European scene. The North Americans are getting better and better as well. You know, obviously you have players like Scarlett, you have players like Jon Snow as well, you have to respect. A couple of the other Zergs. So the fact that Neeb is this damn consistent, that he almost makes it look easy to have deep run after deep run in these tournaments, I find just as impressive as his victory last year.
Yep. We're waiting for the players to set up. It looks like
it's the Drake meme, Nate.
He's moving forward. Oh yeah. Well, you know, Drake's your buddy, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Queen of England? Nah. Queen of Blades? Yeah.
All right, we are good to continue the first game on Mac Depot. Thank you guys for waiting as things are heating up over here. So it's definitely worth to jump into the game as quickly as possible. As Neeb was marching to the other side of the map, he's going to step on creep for the first time. Obviously, the worst thing here, Todd, Nate, is that he gets a couple of creep tumors. I was thinking about a tumor, not Todd. I don't know why that happened. But he has to be very careful that he doesn't end up losing his Mothership Core. Because if you lose the Mothership Core, you take the risk of straight up losing the game.
Yep, you need to have that eject button ready to rock and roll so you can get your army out of there. I mean, you will run into this base. You can clear this out, force field the whole way the Hydralisks. He's killed some creep tumors, kill as many lings as you can, deny this expansion. And the option to go home is there. He's going to take it, doesn't want to get caught off guard. Because as you said, if the Hydralisks, if they snipe down that Mothership Core, you're in a world of hurt.
Wow, 4 Swarmals being produced already by Scarlett. Perhaps looking at his army of Neeb and being like, all right, you open up with a lot of sentries, couple gateway units, immortals. None of this is particularly good against Locusts.
7 now. 3 more, okay.
I mean, this is going to be quite fun. It's obviously going to make it. It's going to make it very awkward for Neeb to, I think, eventually attack. Because this is one of these moments. Do you really want to attack into Swarmos? Could be very hard. At the same time, you also don't just want to defend. Maybe defend with the main army, but try to do a lot of damage with Adepts on the other side of the map.
Yeah, well, you were saying that Scarlett's got a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and we are seeing something a little bit out there now. The hallucinated Phoenix, as you said, goes over the Swarm Host. How will Neeb respond? Of course, we saw Swarm Host punish that mech play of the Terrans earlier in this tournament, but how exactly will it punish what Neeb is going for? He's making another move out towards that southeast base.
And Scarlett doesn't know about this move out, and that's actually quite troublesome for her, because this forward base is awfully exposed. There's a good chance that Neeb is going to be able to get another cancel on this hatchery, and I think if the units were in position, Scarlett would have been able to save it. Is the Mothership Core here as well, Nate?
It doesn't look like it's with the army, so that recall ability is not quite there. The hatchery is canceled, though. There's a Warp Prism on the left side. 3 Dark Templar are actually going to run into some of these Swarm hosts, but I think he's going to send them straight into her base. The Adepts are ready to catch the Swarm hosts. They're kind of just out there by themselves.
This is actually really good. Neeb could pick up a couple of these Adepts as well, and that's exactly what he does. Really good job there by Neeb. Good army movement.
Hitting the Locust Wave out in the middle of the map. It's like, okay, well, you can't really attack my main with those now. There are a good few of them heading towards that third. Baneling speed's not yet ready, though, Kev. The force field's going to be perfect if Neeb wants to push into this third base.
Yep, this is going to be pretty hard, I think, for Scarlett to get the connections that he's looking for. There are still a couple of Dark Templars in the mix as well. The first force fields will land, and that's going to make it very hard for these bases to come in from the right side.
Yep, especially without that speed, and this is just Neeb ravaging this army. Beautiful force fields using the hatchery to block the Adepts immediately spread out. Following that, the drones coming off the line to fight against this army as the Adepts pick off so many of them. The Dark Templar are still inside the natural too. 30 drones have been pillaged by this Protoss party, and the third still hacking and slashing in the main, in the natural. He's all over her. Her army's being completely destroyed.
Oh my God,
GG.
58. 58 drones went down to Nate within a minute. That's crazy. We saw that earlier as well in one of the house games. I saw the little probe sign with the exit is like 62.
It's like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, that went up real fast. Well done by Neeb. Good move out. I really think the moment he moved out to intercept these Swarmos running to the other side of the map, I think that was incredibly clutch, because you don't want to find yourself just defending against waves and waves of Locusts. So to be able to disrupt the first wave and at the same time move out.
He punched that gas pedal as soon as he saw that, and it's a very smart move, because the first wave of Locusts, as we saw, they were used in the middle of the field. You said it. The Warp Prism picked up a few of those Adepts, really minimized the impact of Scarlett's Swarm host, and that's one of those things that it looks cool, but doesn't always work out if your opponent's able to recognize where that makes you weak, and it was in the army size back home.
Very solid game by Neeb, though. He makes it look so easy. You know, this goes up to 3 bases of 1 gateway. If any of us normal people do that, we get rushed by pretty much anything, you know, any Ling Flood, any Ling Bane, and you just have no units. But Neeb just makes it look so solid, so easy, and he's obviously able to identify any sort of dangers very quickly. Todd said as well, he's very keen on scouting early on. He's very precise with it. Make sure he doesn't miss, and he just feels like he can get away with it. And whenever he moves out, it always feels so solid and safe as well. He gets the cancel on the forward like it's no big deal, but that actually is an incredibly big deal, because you just slow the Zerg economy down so much.
Yep, and great use of recall. He didn't overextend in any way, shape, or form. Scouted, stayed on top of what Scarlett was doing, and was able to make the most of it. Showing that killer instinct, despite the fact that he had his ticket to BlizzCon secured so long ago. He has been just on that grind. He does not stop. He's got a can't stop, won't stop attitude, Kev. And we're gonna go to, it looks to be Ascension to Ire for the next map.
Yeah, that's a map where we saw Scarlett go up against Hearthstone earlier today as well. It's one of the more popular maps, I'd say, in Protoss vs. Zerg. I think both races in general are all right with it. Obviously, it's quite a wide open map, but at the same time, you know, both races have their strengths. More prisms can be excellent on this map, but at the same time...
You don't want to go full NA either, though, Kev. You got to be careful.
Yeah. Memes on memes everywhere. Love it. Even when you walk into the buildings, there's memes greeting you over here.
Yeah, they had everything. They had the Gandalf memes. Everything was ready to rock and roll. It's been a fun time. Lively crowd. You guys have been good.
Yeah.
Matches have been good. We got a lot of people here cheering on. Great games today so far. Thank y'all for coming down to watch some awesome matches here at the World Championship Series. And thanks, of course, to everybody online tuning in. The memes around the world, Kev.
Passion is real today, Nate. I'm feeling it. It's going to be fun. This is only the first quarterfinal. We're going to have 3 more quarterfinals after this. And once again, Scarlett is the last player that can currently disrupt the current top 8 of the WCS point system that we have. So this is a big series for one more reason, other than it's the quarterfinals, Nate.
Yep, to take a seed to BlizzCon, as this man's got 2 in the bottom right position. The blue Protoss player representing Ting, he's Neeb.
The Neeb chance.
It's got to come from the belly when you make that cheer. His opponent in the Northwest fighting for that BlizzCon spot. It is Scarlett!
I think that first game was definitely an annoying one for her, because it wasn't one of these games where she opened up incredibly greedy or incredibly crazy. She didn't cheese, and yet it kind of felt like a one-sided defeat, and I'm sure she's not used to that, right? Where you're supposed to macro up, nothing crazy was happening, but Neeb just made it casually look very easy. Gets a cancel, denies some creep, goes again, cuts off the Swarmos, which was perhaps the biggest moment in the game, but even up to that point, it just felt like it was going good for Neeb already. And I think it's incredibly important for Scarlett that she's going to be the one to dictate the pace of these games, dictate the pace of these series, because if you're playing Neeb, his PvZ, he's just not going to lose.
Nope. And one of the coolest things about that is the potential for it to fall the other way very quickly is insane. When you're up against that many Swarm hosts, you know, the big thing that kills a lot of, you know, I guess my perspective here would be like a Terran mech player is when you don't get the jump on them on the map like that, and you're able to just send that wave. One wave of Locust, 10, 11 Swarm hosts, that's going to knock down a Nexus really quickly, and you can't lift that off, Kev.
Yeah. I mean, what the craziest thing about all of that, Nate, is that Neeb was just not able to intercept these Swarmos running to the other side of the map. He has a War Prism there as well, so that the moment the Locust would land on 5 adepts he normally would kill, he could just pick them up and he just drop them somewhere else. Like, that almost looks like coincidence, but you know it's not coincidence when you're looking at Neeb, because
it was perfection.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's won 2 WCS tournaments already this year, and obviously has done well in Korea in the past. Now, once again, remember last game it was a very fast Mothership core.
Yes.
I had the feeling that had more to do with Mech Depot than Neeb just being worried about what Scarlett can bust out. So I'm very curious to see how Neeb will play this time. I'm expecting maybe just a Stargate and then a couple of adepts and just take the game from there, but we'll see.
All right, it is going to be that Stargate in the bottom left of the main base for Neeb as he gears up, potentially going a little bit of Oracle play.
Hides it a little bit as well. This is quite interesting because most Protoss players just kind of drop it like, yeah, I'm going Stargate, you know, I don't even have to hide it. I'll just make it part of my wall. But Neeb is busting out a few minor mind games here. There's a good chance that he goes up to like 6, 7 adepts and makes a push with 2 oracles and 6, 7 adepts, which kind of hits at an awkward moment. It was really popular a couple months ago, fell a tiny bit out of fashion, but it's still one of these builds where if you play against a greedy Zerg, and we all know that Scarlett can be a greedy Zerg, this could hit very hard. I like the Evo chamber, not only for upgrades, but I also love link drops, and I don't necessarily love link drops early on, Nate. I'm not saying that you should immediately like link flood and go for the all-in, but that awkward moment right after Warp Gate is done, right when Protoss warps in a couple of units, let's say at their third base, then dropping a few links in the main, I think is always very useful and can be very annoying to deal with.
The scouting adept is moving forward, throws the shade. These lings are like, okay, where are you going to teleport to? Where are you going to be going? Not able to really a whole lot, maybe. Just trying to fight out in the middle of the map. This adept getting worked away at. Good pickup
that's
there
nice.
for Scarlett.
Yep.
Yeah,
this
very
is
nice.
Absolutely not what you want. And also, if you're Neeb right now, you're a tiny bit worried. Like, we know that there's nothing crazy happening. But if I'm Protoss and I lose my first adept to 8 links, I'm like, okay, what else is out there? You know, it could often be 8 links hiding the other 20, 22 Zerglings.
Yep.
Obviously, the Oracle is going to give Neeb a little bit of information, but he sees an empty mineral line here. And I'd be, once again, a tiny bit scared because you're not exactly sure how many workers has my opponent produced up to this point.
Yep, Warp Gate is finishing up. We do have the War Prism coming in for Neeb as well. Twilight Council finishing, could be, what, straight into Resonating Glaze, could have another Dark Shrine, it's going to work well last game. He throws the Stasis Ward below the hatchery, hoping to maybe get a queen with this, but it also locks down the larva and the eggs. It stops the production. Those 2 drones that were being built, well, they're going to take a little while longer to be built.
So it's going to be straight up charged, Nate, and we see the Templar Arcas being wiped in as well. Now, Neeb is going to go up to 3 bases, but he's not building many probes at the moment. He's been stuck at 45 for a little bit. I do think he's still going to make a few works eventually. He still does not have a Mothership core, by the way, as you can see, big difference.
Feeling a lot more comfortable on this map.
With a Stargate as well. It just makes a little bit of sense on the map like Ascension to Ire. If you wonder why would you want to delay a Mothership core, these are moments that you can build probes, and you know, Mothership core is
gas on something else.
Yep, it's gas, and it's also, it just takes time of your Nexus. You can use that time building probes, and obviously at the highest level, that can make the difference.
Every second counts. Good number of gateways being added on here. Charge, Cav, as well as the Templar Archives. Is this, I mean...
It's very aggressive. Like, I don't think it's necessarily all in for Neeb, but this is very, very aggressive. And it's really important that Scarlett has an idea that this is happening, Nate. Don't forget about the 1 Phoenix that was produced after the Oracle. That 1 Phoenix is incredibly annoying because it keeps the Zerg in the dark. Right now, Scarlett is like, everything is normal, right? Everything is normal, right? This sort of. A couple of Banelings are being morphed, but these are slow Banelings. If 2 Archons show up with like 7 or 8 charge slots in the main base, this could get quite dicey very quickly.
Yep, and these Archons going for that pressure. Snag a drone off the extractor, trying to bully away these queens. There's a big warp in of those zealots as charge is about to finish, and that burst damage off the charge is going to be huge. Brings the Oracle back. Looks like he wants to drop a stasis ward to help cover the Prism in case his unit gets close. Prism grabs a few of the Zealots right before those Banelings bust on top of him. The stasis grabs quite a few Lings on the right side. One of these Archons gets very low, picked up in the last second.
The Queens are so low in HP as well, Nate. One of them gets picked up. The other two just die immediately. And now the next warp in is going to be incredibly problematic for Scarlett.
A great micro on the Archons as the shields get low, keeping them alive. They have so much powerful splash damage that they're very low on health right now. Potentially able to snipe the main base of Scarlett here as the Archons move to the natural and the Zealots hack and slash the main.
Yep, there are no Banelings left at the moment. There are no Roaches either. There are a couple of Hydras on the way, but even Hydras will just pop and straight up die as there are way too many Zealots.
GG Neeb with a well-executed Archon drop with that supplemental charge Zealot follow-up. So powerful. A lot of Zerg players, you see the Archon drop. It's a thing. People know about it. But hitting it with charge that fast.
Yep, and it was a little later as well, right? It wasn't straight up Archons. It was first the Oracle opening, and then it's the Phoenix follow-up that keeps the Zerg in the dark. And that's when playing Zerg suddenly becomes a lot more difficult, because you have no idea. Is it 3 gateways? Is it 6? Is it 8? Is my opponent building probes or not? Scarlett wasn't able to figure it out in time, and Neeb once again made it look kind of easy.
Yep, very well played series by Neeb so far. We're going to catch up with the boys at the desk and find their thoughts on this matchup so far.
You were 2 out of 3 right, I suppose, Nathanius.
How rude.
Yes, of course, we are at the desk once again. And at the moment, it really does look like Neeb's making this look relatively easy, quite effortless here on his part, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, he is actually making it look easy. But I mean, she was down to 0. Who was it against? I was the one that cast it too.
It was Soul. No, it wasn't.
No.
It was Hearthstone. There you go.
Thank you, Hearthstone. Yes, exactly. Another ZVP. She was down in that one, and then she brought it back.
Yep.
She gained that momentum, and she really carried through with it, which is something that's going to have to happen here. And will it be with the cheese is my question.
Neeb has so much momentum at this point. Like, I'm not going to back out on my prediction, but I'm starting to get really worried here for Scarlett. When she was playing against Hearthstone, I had a lot more belief that she was going to come back, but Neeb is just looking absolutely like on another level right now. Like it's insanity that he won a challenger without dropping a map.
Yep.
How did Semper win a map against Neeb at this point? Is like what I'm starting to wonder. Like, because this guy just doesn't seem to drop maps almost ever. But Scarlett, if she can really if she can play her A game, gain any sort of early game momentum, I really think she can bring this back. But it's going to be tough because Neeb's just a monster right now.
And those are the keys that I think you've said. You know, you're saying, is it going to be a cheese? Does it have to be that early game momentum? It feels like it has to be.
Yeah.
If the game goes long here against Neeb, it feels like he has too much power in the late game, Todd.
Yeah, I think Scarlett also, like, she tried some unusual stuff, like, you know, like the way she was playing with the Swarm Host and even went across the map against a very sentry-heavy composition that was coming towards her base. When I saw that, I was like, it's so, I don't even want to see the fight, you know, like, I looked at somebody backstage and I said, the soup lied here. Because the Zerg was ahead in supply, but I knew like the force fields would land and everything would die because there was no way to break the force fields, neither by dropping on top of them or with Ravagers breaking them. So if Scarlett wants to play, like, wants to make the games weird, it's gonna have to be like an extreme where like Neeb is pushed out of his comfort zone, but so far it just cannot happen, it seems like.
All right, well, we can head back over to the commentary team here as we get into game number 3. At the moment, our 2-time WCS champion is on the road to the round of 4. Let's see if he can close it out.
Thank you for your very wonderful analysis, our great panelists at the desk.
The soup lied, Nate. I thought the soup never lied. I grew up with the wise words of our friend Johan Mello telling us over and over again, look at the soup lie, and it never lied.
You put too much faith in the words of Todd, Ronnie.
Today we learned the soup could lie. Obviously, I think the reason why that soup lied a little bit as well is because of the Swarmos, right? If you have like 7, 8 Swarmos,
that was part of the whole thing that they did with them was like, we made them higher supply because you didn't want to have a bajillion of them on the map like the old days.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'd still be in that game.
Yeah.
We'd actually probably still be in a game from yesterday.
There'd still be Locust rallying up that ramp on King Sejong Station in the ZVZ that Stefano played.
That game would have never ended. Well, thank God that doesn't happen anymore.
All right, well, we saw one amazing comeback earlier today of Scarlett against Harsem, but this one is going to be even more difficult as Neeb is just more than a man on fire. He is just rock solid. He is the rock. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, when I see Neeb, I think of Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, me
too. You know, just
they just resemble each other.
pure
so
raw power, work ethic, and a great smile.
Yeah.
And Neeb, he's one
hard work and a dream. That's what they both had.
Yeah, one more hard-fought game away from moving forward. You got to say, this is a matchup that you look at. You're like, okay, this should be the good. This should be the slugfest. But Neeb has showed up. He's like, man, I am ready to rock and roll.
Now I just really want to see Neeb in Fast and the Furious 9. Playing StarCraft on a spaceship, you know, right?
Driving a car on the moon.
Yeah, right next to Dwayne
While he's
Johnson.
microing in the passenger seat where he's got the computer. There you go.
$1 million idea right there. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Playing StarCraft in space.
Bad news, perhaps, for our all of our Canadian fans here in the building as well that are cheering for Scarlett is that our next map is going to be played on Acolyte. And Acolyte, I think, is a very difficult map for Zerg. It's just so easy for Protoss to just sit there on 3 bases, eventually go up to 4. You can just chill a little bit with stasis wards. Eventually, you can absolutely get carriers, Immortals, Tempest, Mothership, and Storm. And it's not impossible for Zerg to defeat that army, but it's incredibly difficult. And if you don't have the help of Spore Crawlers, then it becomes almost impossible.
We've had a couple of recoveries from the down 2-0s so far today. Now is the time to find out if Scarlett has it in her to claw her way back into this series against an opponent that she knows she can beat, but boy, is he one hell of an opponent. He is our blue Protoss player spawning in the bottom left position of Acolyte representing the United States of America. He is Neeb. And his opponent in the Northeast, she has to win these 3 games if she wants to go to BlizzCon. Give it up for Canada, Scarlett!
I find it really hard to predict what Scarlett is going to do on this map, and I would absolutely not love to be her coach either, because what do you do against a Protoss like Neeb? This has already been the best WCS run of the year for Scarlett, and I know that sounds crazy because it's only, and I say only, which I absolutely mean, it's still a good result, but we expect more, and we know that she can do better of Scarlett. Yeah. It's quarterfinals, but the other 2 tournaments, it was round of 16, and unfortunately, Austin, she didn't make it at all, because I think she was still in Korea back then, and participating in one of the tournaments over there. So it's been an all right weekend for her, but obviously she had that dream of perhaps winning it all.
This is 4th down territory, Kev. If there's anything absolutely crazy that might be able to catch Neeb off guard, she needs to use it. She has to get to the finals of this tournament and take that big W if she wants to play at the end of the year in the global playoffs. Neeb has been the gatekeeper for many a Zerg that he has demolished this year as he took 2 of those championship spots, forced another one of them to go to points, and this has been his year in the WCS circuit.
I can hear that football season is around the corner, Nate. You're talking about Hail Marys. This is 4th down
We've
territory.
got stadium chants in the bleachers out here from the crowd. Everybody's hyped up.
I think I saw Canadian football last night. British Columbia and Vancouver or something.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was hype?
That was surprisingly hype.
All right, we've got a Stargate being warped in over here on the left bottom side of the map for Neeb. I think this is once again a map where you're going to see quite a late Mothership core, unless Neeb somehow sees something that could perhaps potentially throw him off, that could worry him. I just don't know. Like, if you're thinking of what cheese could work on a map like Acolyte, like early on it,
not much comes to mind.
Yeah, Neeb didn't probe scout this game, did he? I don't think he scouted at all. No, so maybe if you would have had, let's say, like a proxy hatchery, you would have gone for a spine crawler rush at the bottom of the ramp. That could potentially have worked, but it's very risky to do that with your tournament live on the line.
Be careful with the chances you take. He's going for that 3rd assimilator right as this Oracle begins, Kev. Is this gas a bit early? Should he be probing up more before this? Is this fine?
I think it's all right. We'll see what he decides to do, but there's a good chance.
Gases on the natural now.
There's a good chance that Neeb wants to make a few more Stargates behind this, unless he wants to do something else and drop a quick Twilight, but it's not an all-time to take the extra simulators. You could delay it a little bit. He doesn't have to fully saturate them immediately either. He can leave 2 on them.
All right, the Adept just makes that quick cheeky poke up front as the Oracle does pop out, and
I must say that is indeed a lot of gas.
Be in mind. Okay, there you go, Kev. Straight up, second Stargate very quickly, and the Overlord didn't quite spot that one, I don't think. But why would you expect that to be there? Okay, now she's going to send her Overlord a bit further south. There's a Void Ray being chrono boosted out, but it's not going to be out in time to stop Scarlett from seeing that next Stargate, and she's got to be saying, what is this? More spores being built.
At least Neeb is getting a Warp Gate, unlike Haas, who didn't get Warp Gate once in 3 games straight. He did get Warp Gate on Abyssal. 1 out of his 4 games he got Warp Gate. So we see the Void Ray. Void Ray is obviously excellent in denying the Overlords from scouting, even though that second Stargate already got spotted. But it's just nice to keep your potential drop alert away and just to keep yourself safe in case Scarlett would do something crazy, like running with 5, 6, 7 roaches to the other side of the map. It's just nice to have some consistent DPS and you don't have to worry about the energy of your Oracles. I think we're just going to see nothing but air units from this point on for Neeb. It would be, you know, quite odd to suddenly see a Twilight go down or suddenly see a Robo go down.
Yeah, you're not really opening yourself to many other options when you go for a build like this. He's just pumping out them Oracles, getting third base in. And the lair has started for Scarlett. She's getting +1 melee, so she will have the option to use Zerglings throughout this game. I guess drops are going to be a bit weird versus the Stargate-based players. Yeah. Neeb's going to try to throw the stasis ward, catch some larvae, catch a drone, perhaps.
That's actually a pretty solid stasis. You get 1 drone, but you get 4 or 5 larvae there. That's really nice. It slows down
the hatchery, someone on the internet must have looked into this. When the hatchery gets blocked like that, it doesn't produce larvae either. So you can't use it, you don't get more, you're just stuck.
Yep.
Imagine.
Right, there's not a Stargate being wiped in at the moment. Neeb is going to try to go for the Spore Crawler, but Scarlett had enough queens in position. Almost gets the Void Ray, not in the end. But the most important thing there for Scarlett is that she didn't end up losing the Spore. Now, 3 Oracles will fly into this natural, but one of them was out of energy. The other one already took quite a bit of damage. Scarlett actually doing this quite well. I mean, she doesn't get the kills, Nate, but I still feel this was good defense by Scarlett.
And Neeb is playing. This is some gutsy moves he's making. There's the next Stargate. Just miracles, you know what I'm saying? Don't stop. Mothership Core is finally going to get added into the mix as the Hydralisk Den finishes. But you're right, I mean, finishing off some of these Oracles should be relatively easy, since they are so low once you pass the shields.
A couple of queens from the south side. One Oracle does get picked off, and that wasn't even the lowest HP Oracle, so that's nice as well. This is not the cleanest game from Neeb so far. Yes, he does have the army supply advantage, but as long as there are Spore Crawlers and a couple of the Oracles are low on HP and energy, you can't really jump on top of any of these hatches right now.
It's just a sign of what a beautiful experience in game StarCraft 2 is, with the way the meta moves around. It's not like Oracles got buffed anytime recently, but man, people figured out versus these Hydra builds versus the way people set themselves up. You can actually just build a ton of Oracles and go ham on people. Here we have Neeb, loses 1 inside of Scarlett's natural, loses 2, gets 8 drones though.
I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think trading 2 Oracles for 8 drones is that good if your opponent is on 66 drones already over 3 bases. It's not even over 4 bases that were fully saturated. Scarlett over-droned a little bit, being perfectly aware that there is a good chance she will end up losing a couple of drones here and there. So far, this is a really solid game by Scarlett. She lost 14 drones, but killed 3 Oracles and has a great economy ever since.
And she's going to go into Mutalisks for a bit here. 8 of them are going to come out. I guess they'll be able to push the Oracles away. Neeb does lose 1 right there. If he doesn't anticipate the Mutas, then he's not just going to blindly build Phoenix. He'll have to wait until he's probably already lost all of his Oracles to do something about it.
Once upon a time, a wise man said, if I was a Mutalisk, I would like to meet a Void Ray.
That too.
One of the greatest,
greatest StarCraft Protoss quotes.
Yep. So Fleet Beacon is being wiped in. Obviously, if you have 3 Stargates, you can always make a couple Phoenixes. You can always get Phoenix range out as well. But as long as these mutas can, let's say 15 probe kills, I already think this was a pretty solid transition. You don't want to fly straight first into these voids though. Mutas are good against voids, but the numbers there for the voiders are quite high. I do think these voids spotted the mutas, right? It was awfully close, but I had a good idea that I think it was close enough.
It's quite a few Void Rays. Neeb has not shifted the production towards Phoenix.
But a big
yet.
problem, I think, for Neeb, Nate, is that the Oracle count is just not high enough. We know
how
that
does he stop
Oracles,
a Hydra push?
yeah, exactly. Oracles can be very good against Hydras if the numbers are right. Right now, the numbers are absolutely not right for Neeb. So I think keeping a fort base alive is actually going to be a little bit difficult for our Protoss if Scarlett can find the right timing, and I think she can.
He's just going to skip straight to the carriers, which puts the clock on for that Hydra base push that you were talking about. Once that carrier count reaches a certain number, whatever that magic number may be, it gets almost impossible to break through.
Yep, especially if Storm is out as well. And there are a couple of gateway units on the ground right now, but Storm is still a pretty long way off. So that is very good news for Scarlett, very good news for all the Canadians in the building. I absolutely like this game for Scarlett so far, but I would like to see her make an attempt to do something about that fort base. And it seems like she's kind of given up on that. She's just going to get Burrow instead.
Letting the Protoss take this much money.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's...
She wants to deal with the carriers with Neuroparasite, which is obviously not impossible, but I feel once Protoss has fort bases, it's just a matter of time before, you know, Storm gets out as well. And we saw it earlier today when she played this map against Hearthstone. Attacking up these ramps, if the Protoss army grows bigger and bigger, becomes very difficult.
Well, there are Hydras here. Scarlett, she'll have to be mindful of the potential of getting caught on one of these stasis wards, though.
Yeah, and the sentries as well. Perhaps the sentries is the reason why Scarlett didn't want to go all out with the Hydra attack, because he would have to go up to one of these ramps. And if Neeb is just standing there with 3-4 sentries, there's a good chance, you know, Hydras just get shaved off 3 by 3 by 3. And before you know it, you know, her push is gone. So perhaps it was the best decision after all to tack up to Hive, get Infestors out. But Nate, I'd still like to see her potentially try to fight before Storm is ever out.
And he's giving the Protoss, especially when it's Neeb, this much space to put together the Golden Armada, basically. It gets tricky. Scarlett's adding on 34 drones. She's building a lot of spore crawlers.
Yep, that's going to be an insane amount of spore. So it seems like Scarlett just wants to spread creep like crazy.
Over 100 drones.
Start spreading spore crawlers
That's one way to play
everywhere.
StarCraft. That's one way to do it, Kev, I guess. I don't know. Void Rays are pretty good versus those two, though.
Yeah, but the problem with Voids is that they clump up, and there are Infestors with Burrow out on the map as well. So getting a couple of Void Rays to right-click on the spore is going to be a little bit risky.
Oh, God.
There is a fungal that does connect with a lot of this Protoss army.
Second one grabs the Void Rays up front. Okay, there are the force fields to create a little space. Does Neeb need to be out this far, though?
He just wanted to push the creep back a little bit. I think he's worried about the march of the spore crawler, something we have seen in the past. Still over 100 drones for a split second there. Now we've got 13 spores being produced at once. I mean, this is about as macro as you're ever going to get it, Nate.
Yeah, it's there's your mass static defense strategy. I mean, it doesn't cost supply, and they can kill interceptors. So the more you can squeeze onto the map, the merrier. And, well, there's a lot of space to squeeze these in on this map. So extra upgrades are coming in now, +3 attack. I believe it has level 1 air armor for the carriers as well, off that double cybernetics core as Neeb continues to bolster the strength of his fleet.
Yep, 2 cybernetics cores, always nice. Earlier today I saw Haas make 3 cybernetics cores against Snoot, excuse me.
And he didn't get warp gate.
No warp gate, but 3 cybernetics cores.
There's no Dragoon range in this game.
That was pretty sick. Couple of voices, we'll get a few Hydras here for Neeb. So that's quite nice. Didn't really cost him anything. But just getting a few units is nice. What Neeb truly has to worry about is obviously the 30, 40, 50 spore crawlers we're going to have on the map soon.
Yep, and a lot of it comes down when you make these sort of plays, because you have so much of the supply in the Infestors. Even with the Neural Parasite, you have to be cautious, because carriers aren't exactly amazing at killing themselves, but if you can pull them in towards that mass spore, focus fire them down, use your Hydras, then you can get the damage in that you need, because they're still quite beefy. They've got a lot of hit points, and those interceptors, you know, they're that fast, slow damage. Carriers start with a decent bit of armor.
Yeah, and don't forget that these interceptors are going to have a hard time staying alive as well against that
dodged the tentacle of doom.
Yeah, that Oracle refused to join the dark side. They tried.
That's some strong willpower there.
Yep. Like, I saw that one coming, but nope, I stay with my friends from Meyer. So obviously, you know, landing a couple of fungals on the intercept is very useful as well, especially if you have spore crawlers below it. because units can get a little bit derpy when they try to shoot down interceptors, especially a unit with a slow attack like the Corruptor.
And Neeb's going to make his first push forward. There's the Neural Parasites coming in, grabs the Mothership, a couple of the Void Rays, but the Revelation has tagged those Infestors. He just needs to focus them down. Scarlett has her own fleet of carriers now as she begins to assimilate the Protoss army. The Mothership is on her side. She pulls the carriers into the Spore Crawlers, and the Queen's helping to push this back, but Neeb has not lost most of his forces just yet. A couple of the carriers still hanging tough in the backside, as well as the Void Rays.
That was a massive fungal there on these remaining Void Rays, though. A couple of Void Rays of Scarlett still doing some serious work, and Scarlett, in the end, will push this army back. She'll be able to clean up these last Voids as well. It looked a little bit messy at first. Like, obviously, the Neurals were fantastic.
Pulling the carriers up towards the Spores was a very good play at the same time. Also, grabbing the Void Rays, turning the Void Rays prismatic alignment against Neeb.
Yeah, that's some serious power, but it almost felt like the Corruptor count was a tiny bit too low, right? There wasn't really that much DPS. No. He really killed the remaining units, but in the end, the Neurals lasted so long and over again, and as soon as the Mothership core went down as well, the Mothership, it actually like kind of turned the tide, and it really turned out into an excellent fight for Scarlett there in the end. Neeb losing a lot more very expensive units than Scarlett did.
Ooh, dropping the Changelings directly onto the stasis wards to trigger them. Scarlett utilizing all of the tools at her disposal. And also the potential option to go for the counter revelation does get another stasis ward or two that will block off some of the encroaching Lings, but there's the infested Terran coming over to pillage these photon cannons, opening the door for the Corruptors to step inside as Scarlett pushes into the fourth base. Does she have what it takes to knock this down, though? The carriers are just chilling in the natural.
Neeb really doesn't have that many units out right now. Those two carriers was pretty much all he had. Now a few more carriers finally pop, but these two carriers went down. Now two more show ups, and now it's 4 carriers again. I think it would be wise for Scarlett to send those Corruptors back. As long as Scarlett gets the kill on this base, that's fantastic. Neeb not even trying to save this one carrier, perhaps saving probes on the other side. This was fantastic for Scarlett in the end, getting this base, slowing down the economy, and resetting the carrier count over and over again.
Beautiful gameplay. Beautiful gameplay by Scarlett. Let's not forget she still has a good backbone to fall on. 36 Spore Crawlers back home. She's taken the north side of the map and is continuing to move those upgrades. The Infestors restoring their energy. She'll be able to go for more Neural Parasites later, too.
Yeah, Scarlett has produced an insane amount of drones this game. I mean, you have 37 spores and 14 drones were down, which means Scarlett has produced like 130 or 140 drones in this game, but yeah, it's been very useful, right? I said it early on, I really felt the Oracles were not as effective as they were supposed to be, and Scarlett, her Queen positioning early on was just excellent. And if you make 7-8 Oracles, they really are supposed to do a little more than killing 14 drones, but you lose 4 of those Oracles as well. Those 4 Oracles were more expensive than those 14 drones.
Yep. Ooh, a lot of Overseers coming in. Like, Scarlett's going to use the contamination from her Overseers she was using as detection. This is going to slow down that Stargate production even more, using every tool available to her to claw her way back into this series. The Void Rays are going to poke away at these, but
there's a big army clash as well.
As she moves towards that 5th base in the northwest, another mob of infested Terrans bash down that Nexus.
Yeah, Contaminate is cute and that was awesome, but I think much more important is sniping this 5th base, and obviously using those Overseers kind of pulled the focus from Neeb a little bit out of position as well, so Neeb wasn't paying attention. Army was a little too far out of position. And obviously, Neeb has to be very, very careful because he knows that Infestors are sharking around everywhere, but he doesn't exactly know where.
Yep, these Corruptors are still in high enough numbers since the Void Ray production just slowed down. Oh no, the Infestors just go waddling right on by these air units. The Void Rays clean most of them up. This base gets knocked down. The one hero Ultralisk shows as well.
That was a lot of Infestors that just went down.
How many does she have right now? She's still
0.
8.
I think she went deck.
They all died.
Yep.
Oh.
And she definitely didn't lose all 19 before, so...
yeah.
That was a pretty big misclick. I mean, that's obviously...
Stings, but she still delayed the economy of Neeb heavily.
Yeah.
She's got the gold base in the northwest, so she's got that money cash to rebuild with.
I think Storm is done as well, right? Didn't we see Storm somewhere? Yes, there is Storm. A couple of High Templars are out too. Next fight is going to be a little bit harder. When you have 20, 30 Corruptors, it's going to be really quite hard to fight against Storm because Corruptors, just like Oracles, kind of like to clump up. So it's really important for Scarlett that she spreads her units properly when they do finally have an engagement. And I feel like this game is going to slow down quite a bit right now, Nate. Like,
Pushing into this is so dangerous.
Yeah.
The Infestors gain energy, so many spores. You've got that Zerg Remax rocking and rolling.
I like the one Ultra as well. Ultras can actually soak up quite a bit of damage from units like carriers.
The Interceptors derp and shoot the Ultra. It's like, man, I've got a lot of armor.
Yep.
Go for it, buddy. Have fun.
So for the people who think, like, what is that Ultra ever going to do? Could actually be pretty useful.
It's on the fishing line right there. So shoot me, guys.
Obviously, Void Rays are a little bit better in dealing with that.
That's true, yeah. Set phasers to microwave. The Oracle gets knurled, used to revelate the Protoss army, and this gives Scarlett full tabs on this force. And there's another knurl, just dragging an Archon in.
The mothership is quite close as well. One storm does connect, though. Those are big storms on all of these Zerglings. Obviously, Scarlett can afford to lose a couple links as he is quite rich, but that was still a juicy storm.
She needs to be careful because this little alleyway here is the one place that she doesn't have 1,000 Spore Crawlers to help cover against the Interceptors and the Void Rays. And those Void Rays, if they're all able to fight together against the Cryptors, are going to deal a lot of damage. Okay, here she comes, moving in. Couple of Neural Parasites hitting the Void Rays, using that Prismatic Alignment to fight back, getting the Oracles once again. But this full surround, the Voids that are still on Neeb's side, going for the fight. The Mothership gets pulled back towards the Corruptors and focus fired down.
Yeah, I like this fight quite a bit by Scarlett. I think she should maybe pull back a tiny bit. She's got 24 Corruptors on the way. If those 24 Corruptors show up, I really think all of these Voids can get picked off. Scarlett's got so many reinforcements coming in. All she needs to do is just regroup. Maybe one Fungo on these Void Rays and she can clean it up.
Infested Terran's going to get thrown down. The Archon versus Ultralisk cinematic fight continuing on as it finally goes down. The Void Rays giving it all that they've got against this army, but more and more. 20 Corruptors are about to pop. There's no escape strategy. These carriers, they're going to fight until they die here.
All right, finally all the Corruptors are here, and this time it really should be enough.
GG, Scarlett will not go down without a fight. Assimilation successful as she gets onto the board here at DreamHack Montreal.
That was an excellent game by Scarlett. I really loved it from start to finish, going up against one of these builds that a lot of Zerg players struggle with. That's just very frustrating to play against, all these Oracles. But what I love the most, Nate, is that she didn't rush up to 4 hatcheries early on, because that's just where it becomes even harder to have your queens in a good position. You need 2 Spore Crawlers there as well. No, she stayed on 3 hatches, but made a lot of drones, had enough spores, but not too many, had enough queens, but not too many, and she just didn't take much damage. So she was up like 9, 10, 11 workers and got 4 Oracle kills without losing any queens. And I really think if she would have tried to go up to 4 bases quicker, she would have never been able to defend as successfully as she actually did. So I really think that was the key to success in this game.
Very impressive to see a Zerg player say, all right, you want to turtle the carriers and Void Rays and a Mothership? Go for it. I am ready to play ball. Scarlett showing a masterclass in how to deal with that insanely powerful Protoss army at the end of the game. That's one hell of an army to try to beat. As any race, in any matchup.
The positioning was great from her. She tried to spread the battle out as much as possible, and I think that's where Zerg's units shine a lot more, where you can pick off a couple of these Protoss units one by one, where you're not finding the insane burst damage of all these Voids, of all these carriers. But if a couple of carriers are kind of trailing in the back, a couple of Voids are shooting at something in the north side, and a few units are exposed by themselves one by one, you could really see a couple of Corruptors and Queens on the right bottom side of that big fight in the end of the game. They were sticking around for a very long time. They got multiple kills on those Voids and stuff, and that just bought enough time for the reinforcements to come in. And because he was able to kill those next side over and over again, Neeb knew that this was a very important push. Yeah, it was pretty much now or never for Neeb, and in the end it was never, as Scarlett just had too many reinforcements.
Very, very well played game by Scarlett, of course. Things are going to shake up a little bit as we move to Abyssal Reef. Will Scarlett tie this series up and keep her BlizzCon dreams alive, or will a Protoss opponent smash her down? Here in the bottom right position, we have the blue Protoss player leading 2-1, representing the United States of America. He's Neeb.
I think Abyssal Reef, a map that Neeb is very comfortable on. But earlier today, Nate, we saw her come back from an 0-2 deficit once already. Can she do it again? It is Scarlett.
Insane cheers. Seeing that fight, that Canadian spirit, bringing her back. And man, PvZ gets so crazy. We got the stand cheers now for Scarlett in the crowd as Neeb's first probe comes to block this base, already getting straight up in her face.
Yeah, we saw her bust out a very cheeky build earlier today when she was down against Heistem on this map. Went for that proxy hatchery, was very successful. This is, it's possible, Nate. I mean, you could see her, that drone, think about it for a split second. What if I morph into a hatchery over here?
Damn it.
What if I make this game just a little more strange than it had to be?
All right, Scarlett putting her tournament hopes on the line with the proxy hatchery against Neeb. Will she commit to it? Will this be an all-in play? How far will this go? Neeb sees it. Neeb says, okay, well, you don't have a hatch started back home yet. I'll start a Zealot. I'll get another gateway and a sniper core to block the wall off of the rocks so you can't slip anything in here too easily. And I'll bring some probes down for good measure.
Yep, but I don't think this is enough probes just yet. You might be able to keep the hatch on the same amount of HP, but I don't think it's really going to go down in HP very slowly, but that's obviously not enough. Scarlett could potentially cancel it when it's almost done. Now, once the Zealot shows up, things will change quite quickly, as the Zealot obviously has a lot more DPS to offer. But Scarlett could potentially still cancel this hatch, and then at least Neeb's Nexus is very late.
Yeah, it's a solid delay.
Morph into an Evo as well, Nate.
Other way, Evo bomb. Nope. Okay. Drones just slip on back, make its way outside.
I still don't think this is bad for Scarlett, though. Obviously, her natural is a little bit late as well because, you know, the first hatch actually went down on the other side of the map. But I'm okay with it, and Neeb is actually not getting Warp Gate yet. I don't know. I think that was on purpose because he just wanted to get the adepts out. Now, the one big downside of this opening for Scarlett is that her Zergling speed is going to be incredibly late, and Neeb with adepts against slow Zerglings could get very, very rough to deal with.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, he has those Zealots as well that are going to be charging forward.
Yeah. I think he forgot. I honestly think this opening just threw him off a tiny bit. And Neeb right now is obviously going to be very, very focused on the micro. All right. Of the Zealots and the adepts.
Forgetting Warp Gate would definitely suck, though.
This is hard, though. I mean, this is quite hard to deal with if you don't have Zergling speed, especially with just a couple of slow links. Just one Queen here. This is going to slow Scarlett's economy down by quite a bit.
Yep, and that Queen is off creep, so the potential to jump on that with the Zealots is definitely real if the adepts cover from behind. The Zealots focus on the hatchery a little bit, but now they're going to come up. They can body block a bit against the Queen. She's on the creep, so can run around, do a little bit of circle dancing. More lings are coming out, so Scarlett, over time, is going to be better able to handle this pressure from me.
I think this is going to be it. So even though Scarlett didn't lose that many units, well done. Pretty beautiful defense there. You shouldn't forget that her economy did get slowed down by quite a bit. I mean, she hasn't been able to produce any drones for like basically the last 40, 50 seconds, while Neeb was building probes on the other side of the map. However, Neeb's Nexus was incredibly late, so he was only building one probe at a time. So I'd say it's quite even, but Neeb does seem to have a minor tech advantage, as the Twilight console has already been warped in, Robo is halfway done.
Yeah.
And that is obviously one thing that Neeb absolutely has going for himself.
All Scarlett has is Zergling speed finishing and starting +1 attack, and unless she goes for a quick drop, there's not really any overlords across the map to do so. There won't be too many options there. Dark Shrine boots up for Neeb, and maybe we'll see a little bit more. What do you think, like the DTs and the Archon drop or some charge weird?
I think that would make a lot of sense because that is another follow-up which is going to force Scarlett to morph a couple of units that she would rather not morph, a couple of roaches potentially as well, because just defending against Archons with Lings and Banes is very, very risky, especially against somebody as good as Neeb. So that's once again going to slow her economy down a little bit, and I think that eventually Neeb is all right with turning this into a much longer game with like Immortals, Archons, and even Storm. We've seen it so many times on Abyssal. But as long as he can keep Scarlett on the low economy, it's going to be a lot easier for him to get there, obviously.
Fair enough. Let's see what he can do with this Warp Prism as it pops out. Baneling Nest is on the way. +1 melee is getting close. Overlord comes in just in time. See the Dark Shrine, but also saw the Warp Prism finishing up. Is she going to try to go for a backstab with these Lings? What's the play? A lot more Zerglings are on the way, and the lair is going to start as well.
Yeah, the Dark Shrine is almost done. We don't really see any Spore Crawlers yet. Okay, now we see 3 Spores going down on the production net. That is a little bit late. If those DTs run straight towards that Spore Crawler, okay, we do have 5 Banelings morphing. Maybe those Banes can save the day, but Nate, this is actually going to be a little bit tight, right? Maybe the Spore is going to finish up in time. Oh, hold my hand, Nate.
So it's so close. Okay, the drone's being pulled towards it, and yeah, okay, Spore's going to be done, and these DTs, Neeb has to pick them all up. He doesn't lose any smooth moves.
Yeah, good play by Neeb there, and good play by Scarlett as well. If that Spore Crawl is 2 seconds later, it suddenly becomes a very, very awkward game. Yes, Banelings can kill Dark Templars, but obviously Neeb is not going to clump up all 4 DTs. Now, Charge is going to be the follow-up as well. We saw how effective this was on Ascension to Ire. If there are no Roaches out there, a couple of Zealots already being warped
The difference here, though, is that the charge is also much later, so it's not like it's going to be that quick slam that we saw on the previous map either.
But still, you have to respect Zealots and Archons. One Queen does get picked up very quickly. Good pickups on these Zealots. Warp Prism takes a lot of damage.
Very low, less than 9 hit points remaining. And it looks like the North Archon is going to die. These Queens get caught off creep, though.
Yep,
one Archon stays alive, and another DT is going to get warped in, perhaps trying to reload that Warp Prism.
That's actually pretty devastating. Those Queens were chasing a little too far in the end. 2 Queens did get picked off for almost nothing. That one Dark Templar could maybe
4
get...
DTs being added.
Maybe it's because Neeb's going to go for either for the hatch
base or the Spore. Hydrogen's on the way. Okay, yeah, he's going for the Spore, but it doesn't look like he's going to be... He needs to be so careful. That Prism's...
Woo. I really think Scarlett got a little bit lucky there, Nate, because I feel after losing those Queens and chasing that Prism a little too far, this could have gone a lot worse for her. She still took quite a bit of economic damage, though, but she is making 8 drones now. The Hydra then is halfway done. Scarlett is still in this one, but Neeb has definitely been dictating the action.
Yeah, insane game here so far in this insane match. Is hop, skipping, and jumping with that Warp Prism. Need to keep in mind when the shields are out, so is the Prism. But great micro overall. Charge is finished up now for Neeb. His 3rd base is mining. He's got a couple of extra gateways kicking in and is now adding a Forge.
Scarlett's still only on 3 hatcheries as well, and that's not normally where you want to be. She's down 8 workers. Also not a spot that Zerg feels very comfortable in, but at least Baneling speed is more than halfway done. What Scarlett could really use right now, Nate, is a kill on this Prism and get a kill on these 2 Archons. Yeah. That wouldn't be game ending, but that would just be incredibly sweet.
That's a sweet cherry on top for the start of this game, to say the least. Immortals are coming out now. We do have the Lynx sprint by, but they don't want to engage the sentries and the Adepts just yet. The Immortal might have something else to say about that. So now we're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to kill most of you. And another one is about to pop. So the Hydralisk upgrades coming in. We do have the first Hydralisks coming out as well. Infestation Pit's going down. Baneling Speed's about to finish.
Scarlett has definitely economically recovered, and she does have good upgrades. That is the one big advantage she absolutely has over Neeb. +1 melee is done, +1 missile attacks is done, +2 is on the way as well, while Neeb is only working on +1. Neeb is actually... seems like he has intentions to be quite aggressive here. Obviously, Neeb does have a bigger army, and Scarlett has been droning quite rapidly. But fighting against Hydras on creep is always a little bit risky. Now, these Archons are very, very tanky. Maybe Neeb just wants to get a cancel on this fort, and that's it.
I mean, it's not like there's a good option to recall if he gets overwhelmed.
Whoa, no
cancel. You need to be very careful. No cancel, and that's what you're talking about. The Lings are going to counterattack towards 4th base of Neeb, but he's charging on into the 3rd base. Warp Prism bringing in the reinforcement. Zealots. There's a lot of Hydralisks here. The real question becomes, where are the Banelings? These Zealots can just charge straight on top of this army with the Archon supporting the Guardian Shield. Neeb is mowing through the defenses of Scarlett. This powerful force. Of course, the Archons can break their own force fields. It's only Scarlett that's limited by that. It's too much. GG! Neeb takes the 3-1 victory against Scarlett.
Very well done by our 2-time WCS champion, Neeb. Once again, looking very good. I think especially the first 2 games and that last game as well. Last game was obviously a little bit hectic, but even the proxy hatch, Neeb handles it like that happens to him every 2nd game. He's like, oh no, let's pull a Zealot and counterattack with a couple of slow Zealots, a few Adepts. I'll try to get myself economically ahead. Well done. Neeb is just incredibly good once again, advancing to the semifinals of a WCS Circuit event.
Just amazing gameplay by the American Protoss player, denying the hopes of yet another player, as he's already qualified himself to BlizzCon to see how far he can go. But let's hear from the man himself on the main stage. It's Neeb with Mal.
Neeb, congratulations. There has been a few boos here and there at the start of the series, but obviously that didn't throw you off in any way.
Sorry, what?
It didn't throw you off in any way.
No. It's kind of a weird experience, though, since normally the crowd is always cheering for me more than the other player, so I don't know, it's kind of interesting.
Welcome to Canada, I guess. Man, how are you doing this? How are you staying so strong throughout the entire season?
I think I just play a lot. I work very hard compared to most other foreign pros. like maybe even the hardest. So like if you just play that much and you're somewhat naturally talented like me, I think it's okay.
Now, I'll let the crowd finish up. Now, this performance, this 2017 WCS, the performance that you're going through right now, it's never heard of, never seen. We've never had a triple crown in one same season in WCS, and definitely it's in the sight right now.
Yeah, I'm really confident going forwards in the tournament. Like, Major was knocked out really early, and he's like my nemesis from all the other tournaments. He came really close to beating me a bunch of times. So I'm very happy. What?
But you always went a team ahead.
At Valencia, I lost to Major, so it was kind of rough, but I'm really happy with the rest of my bracket. I think I can definitely make the finals or even win it again.
All right. Thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations to your advancement. Best of luck, buddy. Triple crown, let's go.
And with that, Neeb guarantees our top 8 here at BlizzCon. As Scarlett was the one remaining hope to try and knock people out of that top 8. We have our top 8 fully confirmed now. And congratulations, obviously, to Neeb moving through to the round of 4, Todd.
Yeah, he has a very specific definition of nemesis. Apparently somebody that almost beats him a bunch of times is a nemesis, but not sure most people would agree. That War Prism right there, by the way, could have changed everything if that had gone down, but wasn't meant to be. And yeah, Neeb. Actually, by the way, these are not boos at all. They're just Neebs,
They're
right?
the Neebs. Yep. They're the Neeb. That's how it goes.
So the wall needs to be introduced. Let's go, 3, 2, 1, Neeb. That's not sounds like boo, yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. So overall there, good victory by Neeb. In the third game, though, where we actually saw Scarlett kind of clawing her way back, I didn't expect her to claw her way back quite as she did in that game, Zombie Grub.
I don't think any of us did. Yeah, there was a couple of times where I was like, put the headset back on, all right, let's do it. And no, she actually clawed her way back on like one of the most difficult parts of PvZ as well. So that was impressive on a personal note, but unfortunately not able to take it, even with the added little weird proxy or, you know, hatchery thing like Neeb, still managed to be cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, difficult. And overall, for someone like Scarlett, who's probably going to continue practicing in Korea, I don't know her future plans or anything like that, but it's probably going to be the case. Pardon?
No, I'm just kidding.
You want the full switch to Protoss?
Maybe. I mean, she looked pretty good with it in a lot of her series. I remember Challenger when she was going to play against Panda Beami, who was coming off, you know, freshly from an impressive performance in the qualifier. Scarlett was like, no, shut down that hype 3-0. But for now, it's Neeb is the true top Protoss in the foreign scene, and he proves it once again.
Well, here is our bracket. Neeb victoriously moves on into the round of 4 as we have 3 more series to go today. Our next match is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. True goes up against Nurchio, and we already heard from Neeb. He doesn't really care too much who goes through that, it seems. He feels like that side of the bracket's good for him here. But True versus Nurchio is an interesting one because True has been constantly being able to make it to these top 16s, but not go too deep in those top 16s. And against Nurchio, Zerg vs. Zerg is difficult.
It is. Well, I was going to say, like, he was able to take Montreal last year. That's how he got to BlizzCon. So maybe this is his tournament. The Korean comes into Canada and is like, this is mine. I don't know. But it's kind of the power of True. And sometimes a lot of the times, any of the Koreans that come over and live in the States or Canada, they'll have the switch. They'll be like, I'm going to work really hard. I'm actually going to win this tournament because I decided to. So even though Nurchio, I would say, I would give the advantage to, it's like, well, there's that True effect.
Yeah, that definitely is. All right, well, thank you very much, guys, as we are ready to go to a short break here. And when we return, of course, we have our next quarterfinal on the way. True goes up against Nurchio to find out who gets the opportunity to go up against our 2-time WCS champion in Neeb.